Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective, and we're here at NAB 2014 with Ted Schilowitz, who is the busiest man in the M&E business. And where do we begin? Okay, so you want to talk first about being president of Silverdraft and Devil and Demon? Why don't we talk about how it began and where Silverdraft is now with the Devil and Demon products, and talk about the Devil and Demon strategy.
First of all, nice to see you.
It is nice to see you.
I'm always thrilled to talk to you. I love the effervescent sense that you have in this.
Oh.
You have a very different take on press for our industry than I think most other people do, and I think it's important that your voice is out there and you're tracking the stuff that's interesting in a very friendly, interesting way. So I appreciate it. And I know a lot of people that watch you appreciate it. I've been reading you for years with all your articles.
Well, it's always good to hear. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of things going in this new world after I retired from Red. Now it's about, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 months ago. I decided after 7 years of running around the globe that it was time to try something new. And Red had very much firmly established itself, and I really like to do new things and get new things going. Little did I know how many new things would approach me right after I left. I could tell that story in a minute if you want to hear it.
No breathtaking. You just jumped.
No, I thought. Well, I actually had this strange goal in my head that I would take a year to just explore things without having a job.
Okay.
And that concept lasted for about 2 days, and then now I have 4 things. But basically, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do and explore. Except I've got people kind of covering the bills for it, which is actually pretty cool.
That is very
so it's sort of a win-win.
Yeah,
because I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do anyway. I just am doing it for some very interesting companies and partnered with some very interesting groups.
So which one did you jump into first? Was it Fox? And
it was Fox.
And your title at Fox is
Futurist / Consigliere, which is a very interesting title.
It is very interesting. What does it mean?
Well, that's a good question.
It can mean anything.
It can mean anything. That's basically the idea. Is a little backstory, and then we can go into the stuff that we're doing at NAB and stuff if you want. So literally 2 days after I make this announcement that I'm going to move on from Red, and it's all in good terms, and wish them well, and all is wonderful there, and we still stay in very tight touch on stuff. I get a call from a very good friend of mine named Ted Galliano, who's one of the presidents at Fox, who runs post-production for features. And he, interestingly enough, there's a backstory there because he was literally the one guy at the studio side that while the status quo was saying, I don't know about this crazy Red thing, I don't think we should spend time with it. You got the digital video guy from AJA doing all that stuff with Apple and the guy that did G-Tech, and then you got the guy who did the sunglasses with Oakley, and is that really a smart idea to play in that world? No one was interested on the studio side, except for one guy who said, you know what? Maybe it might be worth paying attention. Maybe it might be turned into something. And what's the harm in learning a little bit?
Yeah.
So well before we had our Red Studios and well before we had any kind of infrastructure, he gave me a little office on the Fox lot and let me use this theater on the Fox lot to do presentations. And said, whatever comes of it, comes of it. If we learn something, that's great. I'm just happy to help. So that was the beginnings, right? Then, of course, Red lit on fire, and now they use Red cameras all the time. There's multiple movies on the Fox front. There's a new David Fincher movie, Gone Girl, shooting on Red. There's Ridley Scott's new feature, Exodus, shooting on Red. And there's a plethora of other stuff. There's stuff coming out this week, and there's a lot of Red stuff, right? Which is great. I'm thrilled about that.
Right, but he's obviously someone that wants to take chances, look to the future.
Very much so.
Next.
Yeah, so now in our current roles, it's like Ted times 2 because his name is also Ted.
Yeah.
And we walk into a room and everybody's like, oh man, here comes trouble. Now what are they doing? And it's a ton of fun, and there's so many connection points that I can tell you about what's happened over the last few months. So I leave Red. He's like, yeah, so what's going on with this retirement thing? You're not actually going to retire. They're like, well, he's like, well, okay, so here's what's happening. You're not allowed to retire. You're going to come do some stuff with me. I want you to be in our playground and help us figure some stuff out. I was like, great, can I have like 3 months to chill and relax? He goes, no, you get 2 days. Here's your office on the lot. Let's go. And that was that. So the retirement lasted for 2 days.
Climbing Mount Everest or whatever,
And you know what? But it is actually climbing Mount Everest because that's kind of what we're doing. And it's all about looking around the next corner with the biggest movie studio in the world and making sure that we make relevant choices that aren't today's choices, that are things that are happening and not immediately aware, right? Not immediately. So part of what's interesting about this journey with Fox is that it's all about these unexpected turns in the road. And in the process of this, I get turned on to virtual reality. And now I'm all about virtual reality, and I think it's actually the next big thing that is really going to happen. I'm talking about it a lot. I have a speech in a couple hours here at NAB.
Okay.
That I'm talking about the future and my role at Fox, and then on Wednesday I'm going to actually be showing some virtual reality stuff, and we have virtual reality stuff at our booth, which is this Devil and Demon thing, which is the startup thing.
The Devil's Playground.
That could lead into that if you want,
Okay,
unless you want to talk about something else.
Well, we're talking about sort of virtual reality and being immersed. Why don't we talk about the Barco thing first?
Sure.
And then we could get to
Yeah,
the Devil and Demon stuff.
absolutely.
So, Escape is something that you unveiled with Barco at CinemaCon.
At CinemaCon, right? So
last week?
like a week and a half ago.
Okay.
There's a convention about the movie business specifically for the exhibitors and all the movie stars, and it's a very kind of star-studded thing. All the movie stars come to it, and they go on stage and do all this cool stuff. It's very different than NAB. It's a much smaller by people. It's like 6,000 or 7,000 people come. It's all at the Caesars Palace. So it's not like NAB, which is a different environment. Yeah.
So you set up multiple screens, 3?
Yes. So my first week on the job at Barco, we were going to set up all this stuff at the convention center, and we're going to show this new concept that we've been working on in secret, which I started at the same time as I was doing the Fox thing, but it's all secret. And I said, guys, I don't think we can do it at the Caesars Palace because there's no real movie theater at the Caesars Palace. No matter how much we can simulate it, it's not a real movie theater. We need to do it in a real movie theater, which means we need to get people on buses and get them to a real movie theater. And they're like, well, it's risky. People sometimes don't go. I'm like, I'm telling you, we got to give it a try. Barco takes the risk. We do it. It's a home run. Everybody gets on the buses. Every screening is packed, and it blows up. As you saw, the press is like tons and tons of press
including on postperspective.com.
Yes, you were tracking it early, and you wrote a good article about it.
So just tell me, so it's Barco three
Barco projectors. It's basically the idea of we look at the art of cinema, and we ask this very simple question as, why are we restricted to this rectangle in front of us? Is that all there is? Can we, with modern technology, break out of that and make something more all around you so you're actually much more in the movie? And make the cinema experience continue to be relevant and continue to have separation from the home experience. Not just a little separation, but a massive separation. Something you can't pirate, something you can't watch on your iPhone.
That's right, it gets people into the seats.
Yeah, it's part of the joy of the cinema is always advancing the art, right? And with anything new, obviously it takes courage. You gotta take some risks, and I'm no stranger to that, so I'm very comfortable in that role. But you really have to say, okay, we're gonna try something, and we're not gonna have it all figured out when we launch it. That's part of the beginnings of the story. It's so wonderful when you're knowing you're getting somewhere, but you're not done. And then there's always the naysayers, and for the naysayers, I look at them and go, with every major advancement in technology, there's always someone that's gonna say, why would you ever want that? Yeah. Why would you want that? And then if it gets a little contentious, I say, okay, I'm going to give you one example. I can give you 300 others, but let me just do one and then see if we can end this part of the conversation about the why would anybody want that. Why would anybody want a computer in their pocket? It's ludicrous. Yeah. What are you going to do with it, right?
Everything.
So the idea of change and the idea of breaking new ground and not actually knowing where it's all going to go, that is the future. And for whatever reason, I find myself very comfortable in that zone. A lot of people are not comfortable in that zone. A lot of people like to play it safe. Yeah. For me, playing it safe is very uncomfortable. For me, taking risks is oddly, extremely comfortable.
Yes,
so I'm fine with it.
How chilly you are doing all
this
of
is fine, whatever, man. Let's go, you know?
It is. Well, so let's talk while we still can about Devil and Demon.
About why we're here at NAB, right? We took all these side turns. Yes.
Yeah, no. So Devil and Demon, talk about the strategy, talk about the origins, and what you're doing here at NAB.
So this whole kind of blended life of all these different technologies, they're all linked together. The Fox thing, the Barco stuff, and this new startup that has been around for a while. The parent company is called Silverdraft, and it's involved in supercomputing. And I joined them right after I left Red. My title is President Evil. So it's not just president, because president's boring and stupid, and who wants to be the president of anything?
And you're evil.
Right. Not evil. And Amy, who's my partner in crime on this, CEO, Chief Evil Officer, right? So we're having fun with the concept. We have created this whole product strategy around supercomputing for our industry. And because of this amount of information that we're creating with 4K and 6K and 8K coming right around the corner, and all this screen technology and blowing the walls off things, you need better computing. You can't just be satisfied with desktop computing for our industry anymore. You need someone to actually take a step up, be bold, take some risks, and start building the right tools for the job. So we have a partnership with Micron and with AMD as a young startup, which is a big deal. So we have our products at the AMD booth here at NAB, and we have our big truck, which is called the Devil's Playground, which is almost 1,800 cores of computer power. And we're actually running 2 real render jobs at NAB for real clients. One's a big NBC show, and one's a big theme park installation. And we're actually doing the rendering, because the truck is on wheels. The work can go anywhere.
Yeah, sure.
So the clients were like, well, we need this stuff. Like, you can't just take a week to do NAB. We're like, no problem.
So driving from LA to Vegas? Like,
yeah, we had to turn it. We had to turn it off for the overnight.
That'd be kind of cool.
But now it's running, and they're running the things are cooking, and they're doing the jobs.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody else at NAB that's actually doing real paid work at NAB, and we are, which is pretty cool.
And another user, YouTube Nation, correct?
Yes.
So they're using.
Again, a lot of this comes from this creationist role and this risk-taking role at Red, and I've built all these friends all around the world. One of them is a good friend. His name is Peter Salvia, and he was driving a lot of the technology around this new secret project for DreamWorks and YouTube called YouTube Nation. It's the first 4K live daily show. It's a big deal. I mean, it's another big step, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, yeah, well, that's not YouTube 1.0. This is YouTube of the future. Sure. 4K every day, right? They shoot it on Red cameras, and they build their infrastructure, their computer infrastructure, around one of our Daemon computing systems, which is the visual workstation, desk side station.
Right. Smaller footprint.
Smaller footprint,
yeah.
and actually ends up being less money than a traditional, like mainstream desktop computer.
Right, and it's
more powerful,
targeted
less money.
at M&E, and it's also customizable, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
we work client to client to give them a number of choices, and then based on their software needs and their use case, we customize accordingly, and that's one of the big strengths that we have as a company.
It's pretty
So
cool.
it's out between the 2 halls, right across from the beer garden. If you're watching this during the day at NAB, you can see all that.
Yeah.
The truck's running, and we have virtual reality stuff there, because I'm a big believer in that, and they're using our demons to run that. We actually have a little demon now that's targeted for the gaming world that we're showing, and I'll be showing that in the next few days.
Nice.
Doing stuff.
Well, thank you. We
So
could talk,
that's-
but we could talk all day.
Yeah, there's a lot
Really-
more
we
stuff,
really
but that's
could.
a little overview.
Yeah. Well, thank you
My
for
pleasure.
coming by and sharing all that. And
Thanks for having me. We'll
talk again soon.
We'll link it in social media and out to the world when it's up.
yes, absolutely. Thank you.